Tarat Azamra, and we started off talking about how you have to judge people favorably, right? How do we judge people? We said that we judge everybody whether we like it or not. Let's just see how much time we actually have. What time? It's 40 right now?
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay. So whether we like it or not, we judge people. We're always assessing people around us, our situation around us, in all different kinds of ways. So we can either do it on autopilot, we could do it automatically, whatever our natural way or our upbringing, right, has been. Some people grow up in families where they're suspicious of everybody. There's some people grow up in families where they're very loving of everybody, and so, right, you automatically inherit your judgments of other people. So we can either just go with whatever we've done up until now, or we can do it proactively. So the Rebbe is saying we should be proactive about the way we approach people, the way we view people, the way we relate to them and think about them. So I'll just remind you, remember we said it's like a scale, a balance. Here's the person's good, here's their bad, right? So we don't have to be the judge in Shemaim, which one is heavier, was what Rabbi Nachman is teaching us, is we just look at the good, is what we need to do. And even if you see that this is a huge mountain of bad, and over here is just one little tiny kernel of good, you should still focus on that one good. And if you think you found a person that doesn't even have that one kernel, you have to look. You have to search. Not only do you have to search and then say, okay, I tried, right? Now I can't find it. And you have to search until you find, and you will find. There always is a kernel of good in everybody. Find it, and then down to the kavschut, judge him from that place. And the way we explain that in our terminology is relate to him from that place. That's the place you should relate to him from. That's how your relationship should be based on. And we did say that, like, of course, this doesn't mean that, if a person has like a terrible track record of being a swindler and a cheater in business, that you should go partner up with him in a business, right? We said the Gemara says kabdeyu v'chashdeyu. You have to honor a person, respect a person. You also have to be suspicious, meaning not suspicious that you think that they're a terrible criminal. You have to be cautious, right? You have to be cautious, and you have to be smart. But when it comes to how do I relate to them, how do I view them as a human being, right? That's the place that I should do it, from that place of good, that kernel of good. That was the first shiur. And then we said, the pasuk says, just to remind you of the pasuk, Ve'od me'at ve'en rasha v'itbonanta mekomo ve'enenu. A little bit more, you find that little bit more in him, that little od, that little extra something good in him. Ve'en rasha, and in that place he's not a rasha, even if he's a rasha gamur in all the rest of parts of his life. V'itbonanta mekomo, and then if you contemplate this person's place, enenu ve'enenu, he's no longer there. Why? Because there's something magical that happens when we view people positively. We elevate them. We actually move their status, their spiritual status, right? And we can affect them. I'll just say, just in parentheses, right there on that point, the Sfas Emes was the second Rabbi from Gur, the Ger Rebbe, and he said an amazing thing. You guys know by Chassidim, one of the biggest things by Chassidim is to go be by the tzaddik. Go to the tzaddik. Travel. And by the way, it's not just Chassidut. Of course, not just Chassidut. Chassidut just made a major thing to be by the tzaddik. But so he asked the question, as Sfas Emes, why is it so important to go see a tzaddik? I've got this farm. I've got this amazing library here. I can spend the rest of my days in this one room, right, and never stop growing. So why do I dafka have to see the tzaddik? He says for a couple of reasons. One is to see a man who he's also flesh and blood. He was also a child. He also has human inclinations. And look what he reached. He reached the level almost like an angel, right? Really higher than an angel, but an angelic man. To see that what a person can reach, to be impressed, have that impression. The second thing is the way that he looks at you. When the tzaddik looks at you, he sees all the potential in you. He sees all the good in you, right? We have already, not nice to say this, but there's so many parts in our own life that maybe we've given up on ourselves, right? Or that we don't see the good. We're blocked from seeing the good because we see the bad, right? The tzaddik looks at us, he sees exactly what this is. If he finds that good inside of you, and then I'm no longer in the same place. It's elevating to be seen in the eyes of a tzaddik. Here, it's an amazing thing. It's counterintuitive what we would think, right? I need to go there to be seen by the tzaddik, because when I'm seen by the tzaddik, right? This I think we spoke about also in Beit HaMikdash. You go up to the Beit HaMikdash, and it says, you remember we said that what are the three things that we are lacking, that we talk about in the tefillot?
And knowledge of the Hilchot Beit HaMikdash. We need to know how to go there. If you do an Aveira, like you don't go to the mikveh beforehand, you keep Am Yisrael back by hundreds of years.
So that's the beautiful ideas in general, and I'm thinking specifically in the tefillot. That's also a good idea. But the tefillot that we say on the Musaf tefillah of Rosh Chodesh, not Rosh Chodesh. You just got back.
I got married last night.
Whoa! And straight back in the bed of judge. Wow. Great. You were out of the country, weren't you?
Well, the eye is a different eye as of a couple of days ago, right. And so Baruch Hashem, I was out of the country a couple of weeks ago, but okay. We finished a whole process with the Beit Din on Sunday, Baruch Hashem.
Amazing, Mazel Tov.
Thank you. And then we got married last night. So,
amazing. Fast Hashem.
Yeah.
Chuva v'kiddushin, unbelievable.
Wow. Yeah, that was amazing.
Higher and higher, my friend. Up and up, Be'ez Hashem.
Yeah.
From here it begins.
Yes, and now it's Tanya time. Get higher. Yeah. So we say on Yom Tov and on Chol HaMoed in the Tfilat Musaf we're lamenting that we can't go up to the Beit HaMikdash, and we lament three major things that we can't do because we don't have the Beit HaMikdash. La'alot, I can't remember. I thought we spoke about this a couple weeks ago. Maybe not. La'alot v'lera'ot v'lishtachavot, to go up to the Beit HaMikdash. We can't go up, right? There are those today that say you can go up to Harabait, but it's not the same thing. It's not Beit HaMikdash. Leraot, we don't say we have a mitzvah of riyah to go see HaKadosh Baruch Hu 3 times a year, and to be seen by HaKadosh Baruch Hu 3 times a year. And the third one is lishtachavot, to prostrate ourselves, to do full prostration, full bowing, right?
On Yom Kippur, right?
On Yom Kippur, anytime we go to the Beit HaMikdash, we do it.
Oh.
Yeah, that Beit HaMikdash is the one place that we can do it all the time, and with a mitzvah to do it every day. But the point that I'm talking about here, connected to what the Sfas Emes said, is that I want to go to the Beit HaMikdash to see God. I want to go have an experience, a visceral experience of feeling God's presence, of seeing God's presence in the Beit HaMikdash. I would think that that's the main thing I'm lacking, but that's not what Chazal established for us in the Tefillah. They said Le'ra'ot, to be seen by God. That's the thing that we're mainly lacking, right? What does that mean? God can't see me here, right here in the library in Machon Meir. God can't see me in Uruguay. God can't see. God is here. God is that, right? Just a personal story. When I was before my wedding, I went back to America for about a month and a half, and I was really nervous. I had built myself up in yeshiva. I didn't want to go back to America into the schmutz, of Chutz La'aretz, and then I was coming back like a week before my wedding. So I went and I made a meeting with this Rav, who ended up becoming my Rav. And he told me, he said, this is a beautiful story, I love the story. He's a very heavy presence, a rabbi. Very, like, you're in his presence, you feel you're out your mind. So he said, tell me again, where, he said, where are you going to be in America? I said, Houston, Texas. I told you guys the story? No? I never know when I'm repeating myself. Right? So he said, you're going to be in Houston, Texas. What's the neighborhood over there? Meyerland. Mm-hmm. And what's the address over there? I'm trying to figure out where I was going with this one. So I told him the address, and he said, yeah. Mm-hmm. He said, come here close. He pulls me close, and he said, I happen to know that the Kadosh Baruch Hu is even in 5107, this street, Meyerland, Houston, Texas. I happen to know that the Kadosh Baruch Hu even there can hear your prayers. Even there he sees you and he's with you. Right? To give me a big chizik to hear such a thing. Right? But so if that's the case, Hashem sees me, so what am I crying about on Yom Tov and the Musaf that I can't go to the Beit HaMikdash to be seen by God? Hashem sees me here.
But that's where he sees it the clearest.
The truth is, Hashem doesn't need me to go anywhere to see me. The question, it's I need to feel seen by God. I need to feel seen by God. Right? When I feel Hashem is looking at me, what's the problem? I know that Hashem is looking at me right now. I don't feel it. I go there, you feel it. You're in the presence of God looking at you, and then that changes you. You hear? So what we're talking about here is really a tiny little divine, godly action that we're doing. When you look at this person from the good that's inside of them, that's their essence, you change them. And that's what we said in the first year. The second year we said that a person also must find the good in himself. Right? Because you guys remember that it only took like 5 minutes, and somebody asked, I think it was you, I can't remember, asked, how am I supposed to find good in other people if I can't find good in myself? Or isn't it connected, finding the good in myself and finding the good in others? And it is. It's very connected, right? It's a skill. It's an art to be able to focus on the good. You guys know in the world of psychology, they say that it's human nature, meaning it's universal among human beings to focus on negative more than on the positive. But even if a person has a lot of positive in his life, our nature, according to psychology, the world of psychology, is to focus on negative, right? In our world, in the world of Torah, we say that's right, because the Yetzer Hara wants you to be sad. He wants you to be stuck. He wants you to be not growing, right? If I'm looking only at the bad, some people have so much good, that you can see, and yet they feel so bad about themselves. It's the most painful, right? When you see somebody that they have so much good, they have so much to offer, and they're just stuck in seeing the bad in themselves, right? That's a Yetzer Hara. But so a person has to find the good, and also said Rabbi Nachman, and even if in the good that you find, you said, yeah, but that good is also mixed with all kinds of bad, right? Ulterior motives or whatever. You have to find the good kernel within that good, right? Peel away all the bad, find that one place, right? And what the Rebbe is teaching us here is really a tool how to pull yourself out of sadness and how to pull the world out of sadness, right? You guys realize how, I don't have to tell you how much sadness rules the world today, so much, how much depression there is in the world today. We all have some level of sadness and depression in life, right? There was a great Rebbe in Yerushalayim named Rabbi Osher Freund. He said that everybody has a violin, a kinor, a harp playing in their hearts. Each one has their own niggin, their own song. Our soul is singing a song. The sun has a song to God. The moon has a song. My soul doesn't have a song. My soul also has a song. Why can't I hear it? He said it's hidden behind a bunch of sadness. We need to peel away the sadness to be able to hear what's really being sung in my own neshama, right? So we all suffer from it to some degree or another at different times in our life, and the whole world has a tremendous amount of it.
So you just have to tune in.
You have to tune in, right? But there's a lot of noise, so to speak, of the sadness that's blocking our ears, right? So, but yeah, our job is to tune in, right? So Rebbe's giving us right now a recipe how to pull ourselves out of it, right? Which is an amazing thing. It's really an amazing thing. He's saying start small. Find just one place that you can really be genuinely happy about in yourself. That you really see the good, right? And everybody has it. Even on your worst, most depressed days, when you feel the worst about yourself, right? And even all the good that you thought, sometimes it looks a little bit gray, right? But you can, even in those times, you can find, and you must find, one tiny drop of pure good in yourself, right? So, but it's not enough, because then the person says, yeah, but I've got all this, right? Now you have to relate to yourself in this place. You have to make you have to kind of make yourself into a Mashigana. right? And to a little bit, it sounds crazy. Ignore all this other stuff. Focus on the good. Focus on this one place of good, and relate to yourself. Yeah, it's gewaldig. Okay, I'm not Rav Chaim Kanievsky, but I say good morning to people, right? That's gewaldig. Not everybody says good morning, and even if everybody does say good morning, I also say good morning, right?
I want to say good morning.
Right? It says Rabbi Yochanan was the first person. He always said shalom to everybody. He was magdim shalom lekol adam. Nobody ever beat him. He always said shalom first. He said even the non-Jews in the shuk when he was walking to and from yeshiva, he would always say hi to everybody. Say shalom to everybody. Okay. So again, you have to find it. Judge yourself in that place. Kedei lachayot et atzmo, and this resuscitates you, right? Sadness is a little bit of a drop of death. Sadness brings us to, right? What a person that's suffering from intense sadness, what does he want to do? He wants to lay down. He wants to go to sleep. What do people say when they're really, really, really broken? I just want to crawl in a cave and, right? Sadness, how could a person get to a place? Right? Okay, we don't need to go into how a person gets to a place, but like, sadness is connected to death, right? So Rabbi says, and also we know when a person is sad, the person, I can't get myself to do anything, right? I have no vitality. I don't have any juice in my life, in my neshama. Right? How do you get the juice back? How do you get the vitality back? You have to be misamech. You have to give yourself a little simcha. No, it's gewaldik. I say boker tov to people.
Even
right?
a small thing.
Even the small.
But then he comes and he tightens. No, look at your whole package.
So this is the starting.
Battle, really, it's a battle with your little point of
exactly right.
Of seeing goodness in yourself or in others, seeing good in yourself, and you really got to battle with that over.
Beautiful.
I mean, hopefully you don't have such a big package, right?
Right.
I'm saying,
no, but even on those gray days,
how can you battle
he feels that his pile of bad is this high, right?
How's something so small? If you take something so small, right. Battles, you say, oh look, I'm this, I'm that, I'm this, I'm that, I'm this.
Good question. Stay tuned. Here we go.
I'll stay tuned.
And that brings you to simcha. Now we're going to go weiter. We're going to continue. And through this act, what are you doing? Think about what you're doing right now. You're not just capitulating. You're not just giving in to whatever's happening right now. There's a Yetzer Hara that's trying to make everybody depressed in the world. If you're all depressed, you're not going to be doing anything. You're certainly not going to be bringing the redemption, right? So the Yetzer Hara has a lot of stock in us being sad, right? Here, I'm searching. I'm proactively fighting the evil in this world. I'm fighting the darkness. I'm searching for something good in myself, something good that I can give myself a little bit of a tiny little drop of a, right? Something, right? A little bit of vitality. So you actually pull yourself, you're on the spiritual plane, you actually pull yourself out of that darkness. And then that puts you into the category, into the pathway of Chuva. Now I'm doing Chuva. Chuva is not just, I did this, right? Usually we think about Chuva as involving ourselves in that big pile of all the bad things I've done. That's not. Rav Kook talks about, for years I used to give a shiur here in Orota Chuva from Rav Kook. One of the most beautiful svarim in the world.
Are you Hardal?
I'm everything. Wherever there's Yidden, that's where I want to be. But I'm a big chassid of Rav Kook. And Rav Kook says over there that most of the svarim talk about the negative part of tshuva. I did this wrong, I did that wrong, which is an important part of tshuva. That's one drop of tshuva. The majority of tshuva is I'm running to God. I'm clinging to God. I'm singing to God. That's not tshuva.
Wow.
Tashuv, hey. Tshuva is tashuv, hey, to return to God. I'm returning. Right now, I woke up this morning. I didn't feel connected. Thank you, Hashem. Boker tov, Hashem. I love you, Hashem. That's tshuva. Right? It's a whole world. That world of Rav Kook's tshuva is mamish a whole world. It's the most beautiful world to go toivel in that world. But so it says here, you drag yourself out of that darkness, out of that grayness, and you put yourself into tshuva. Like that pasuk, like we said, a little bit more. You find that little good in you, and now you contemplate your place. You're no longer in that same place that you were 2 minutes ago when you weren't concentrating on the good in yourself. This is the first step. Hainu. In other words, just like you have to judge others favorably, even Rishaim, and you have to find good points in them. And through that act of you judging them favorably, you bring them out of the negative in their life, and you elevate them. You actually elevate them to the kav zchut. Like we said in the pasuk. So too, it's the exact same thing by us, each person within themselves, right? Because what are we doing when we're in that negative place? We're judging ourselves negatively. We're relating to ourselves negatively. I need to feel good about myself, right? It's a little bit repetitive, but we're gonna read it. To find the good point in myself, which is still good, in order to prevent myself from falling. Because once sadness takes a hold of me, oy vavoy, right? Where a person can go with sadness.
The biggest paralyzes you. Because the Yitzhar, he doesn't, as so much that he cares about the actual sin, he cares more about
right.
that food.
Famous story from Rabbi Nachman that the Yitzhar has to work very little to get us to do a sin. That's not really what he's putting his stakes in. He's putting his stakes in that afterwards, he trips you, and he says, look at you fell. Look at what a terrible person you are. Right? Yeah. So that's where it's at for him. Why? Because if I'm depressed, so then I'm not going to do a lot of mitzvahs. I'm going to do a lot, right? And sadness brings a person really, not just it does paralyze us. Everybody reacts differently to sadness, but it brings a person also to terrible, terrible dark places, right? And inflicting pain on people and all kinds of terrible things. A lot of it stems from this place of sadness.
Because I also find out, like, when a person is sad, they feel like a lot of excuses to do things that you're not able to do because
beautiful,
I'm hurt,
exactly.
I'm sad. Like, if he victimizes himself,
exactly,
right, that he can't
exactly. Couldn't have said it better. Absolutely.
Is it sadness or is it guilt, or is it fear, or is it all different versions of the same thing?
They definitely combine, and there's different aspects of each one of those. But the shorish, the root of it is really sadness. It's really sad. As a matter of fact, I'll tell you guys in therapy, one of the things are more with men than with women, because women are able to feel emotions. They're able to access their emotions a little bit more easily than men. Or
it's more socially acceptable.
It's more socially acceptable, right? Men, I have a mentor who says that men are only allowed 2 emotions in the world: anger and lust. Those are the only ones that men are allowed. Softness, sadness, right? Sadness. What do we do? We don't want to feel sadness, right? So what do people do when they're sad? They go to other places: anger, resentment, guilt, all kinds of places that are much more dangerous, really, right? So a lot of times what I'll do in therapy is I'll try to get a person to feel the sadness of what they're feeling, that they're running away from, rather. Feel your sadness. Once you feel your sadness can pass if it's bona fide sadness. But this is a different kind of sadness. What the Rabbi's talking about here is really depression. In other words, I've got good in me, so why do I feel so bad? Right?
It's overpowering,
Because my mind is on here. Even if it's not. Even if my good is this tall and my bad is like
a little to catch you.
Right, yeah, we fall into that all the time. All the time.
But in truth, Rabbi, it's always we have more good than bad.
Absolutely.
Our teva is good.
Absolutely.
Our itzim is good.
Absolutely. And that's what the Rebbe's talking about, a state of mind right now, which is we would call really depression, even if it's a minor depression, a momentary depression. Right? We're not I'll get to you 1 second. It's not I'm not talking about the feeling of sadness. If my I don't know, if the Shabbos food all got burnt and I don't have Shabbos food, like, am I not supposed to feel sad for a second? Yeah, I feel sad. And then I remind myself that HaKadosh Baruch Hu runs the world and probably my neighbors have food and I can go over there. Right? But feeling a little bit of sadness over stuff that hurts in this world, there's no problem. That's not what the Rabbi's talking about. The Rabbi's talking about a focus on negative thinking, which drives depression. Right? It's different.
Very difficult to get out of.
Very difficult. And this is the way. This is the way. In matter of fact, Reb Nosson, I just still didn't forget about you. Reb Nosson says over and over. Reb Nosson is the main Talmud of Rabbi Nachman, who wrote all of his books. Reb Nosson writes over and over, this tool is the main tool to drag us out. It's not
look at the good.
Look at the good. Yeah, we're still going to go because we're in the middle of the process here, but this is like, you think, where do I start, right? Where does the world go with depression? They go to pills. They go to all different kinds of,
It leads
right?
to overdose.
No, I'm even talking about like in the world of psychiatry, where there's so much medication that we're using for depression. There's so much self-medication that people are doing. There's much more of that, right? When it comes addictions and all different kinds of substance and right, escapism, escaping from my life, right? As opposed to confronting with it. The Rebbe is saying,
because they have no support system, no Torah, no this, no that. That's why
right, yeah, right, yeah. No, I'm not blaming. It's a broken world right now, but the Rebbe is just saying, I've got a surefire way for you to get out of it. I don't want to leave this young man hanging this whole time.
You can like answer it.
Oh, I can answer.
I believe that the sadness is part of our life and we need to have it.
Right.
And
right.
It's something that is implanted inside of us. Like we are Tisha B'Av, we are sad because we don't have the Mikdash, and we should to be praying for having it back, and it's kind of like reminding us, getting us attracted.
Sure.
But I understand what you mean now.
It's a very big difference. Again, I'm going to clarify it again. It's just there's a very big difference between the emotion of sadness and the state of sadness, which that is really, I would call it depression, right? Matter of fact, like I was saying, therapeutically, the way out of depression, a lot of times when I'm working with men, I'm talking about deep depression, not like just like day depression or something that all of us fall into. Deep depression, a lot of the tikkun for that is to allow yourself to feel the sadness. Because depression is numbing. Depression, you don't feel anything. It's just like this dull state of like down, of subdued emotional, which feels like sadness, but they're really numb more than sad. So feel this, cry, right? You get yourself into a place where you can feel the emotions, and then we can start to bring in positive emotions, right? But I'm super oversimplifying a massive therapeutic little pathway, but I think you guys get the point. It's something different. But here we're talking about depression. So the Rabbi says, I'm going to go weiter. We still have maybe a couple minutes here. In order that you won't fall all the way down to the bottom, right? Because depression is like, it's kind of like game over, It's like we can't wake up, we can't put on tefillin, we can't do anything when a person is so massively depressed. You don't need to find the ultimate solution right now to figure out your whole life. Stop thinking like that. All you have to figure out right now is one place of good that you can focus on in yourself. Just start with that one place of good, and that's going to give you a little bit of a mechaya, you say, a little bit of a breathing, a little bit of a right life. Rabbi gives an example. Maybe you did some mitzvah one time in your life that you feel like it was a pure mitzvah from pure motives, or even if it wasn't just a mitzvah, you did a good mitzvah. You did a good deed. Now here's the second part. Ready? Now you got it. Okay, I did it, Rabbi. I'm feeling terribly depressed and bad about myself, and I found this one thing. I put on tefillin this morning. Gewaldig. Rabbi says, now you have to go find the next nekudat tova, find the next good point. Right? Not complicated. Right? Find the next one. You move on. Another good thing in yourself. And even if you see in that one, again, you go through the same process. It's also mixed in with a lot of maybe ulterior motives or negative, right? It's not 100% pure. So find that pure piece of that pure nugget in there that is pure, that is good. Right? And you keep on going. That's the work. Gentlemen, this is the work. It's so simple, but it works. It's so simple, but it works, right? It's one of the major principles that Rabbi Nachman talks about a lot is that hamachshava biyado shel adam la'atota le'an shehu yotze. That our thoughts are in our hands. Thoughts all the time flow into my mind, out of my control. What I do with it when it's in my mind, that's my decision, right? I can steer my thoughts in a certain way. right? And I must. And the Rebbe is saying, this is what you do. Don't try to figure out the whole thing. Where did I go wrong? Where did I fall off track? Just find one thing, right? Because what's the idea? Once I pull myself out of that depression, once I pull myself out of that, and I'm in a place of simcha, my mind becomes expanded, and I see things that I was not able to see when I was constricted with that sadness and depression, right? So my goal is not to try to fight the depression with some type of philosophy. My goal is just pull myself out of that place, get myself to a place of simcha, right? And the way that I do that is find one little piece, like a simpleton. I put on tefillin this morning. I honor my mother, whatever it is, right? You know, I've got a kippah on my head, right? I'm a Jew walking around with a kippah on my head, right? And then this is where it starts to get interesting. And through this, nigunim, songs are formed, right? As is explained in a different Torah, like a person playing on an instrument. Now listen, this is so interesting. Not that you guys weren't listening before. What does a person do when they're playing music? Have you ever heard somebody go to a piano and just like, right? So if you're a musical person, you probably right? So I'm a musician, and I'm a sensitive musician, right? So like but even for somebody who's not a musician, you guys could probably a lot of you guys are musicians, but if not, you can relate to what I'm saying. Somebody's playing music, and all of a sudden they hit the wrong note. It's like a beautiful piece, and they hit the wrong note. What does it do? What does it do to you? Yeah,
it makes you cringe.
It makes you cringe, right? If they're singing and and they hit that high note and then it falls off for a second, right? It just there's something. It's like, so why did it do that? Why are we so sensitive? Okay, so hit the wrong note, Yeah. Right? I was once at a Shabbos table, beautiful Yid, and there was a father-in-law and a son-in-law, and the son-in-law has this beautiful voice, and he's singing, and the father-in-law he's like a scientist, and he's also a musician and everything. So he was singing a song and he hit the wrong note on purpose. He thought there was a different note. It was a major note, and he said, and the father-in-law jumped. He said, "No, it's a minor note right there." He got all upset. Right? Okay, there's no fires here. Nobody has to call the police. He hit the wrong note, right? Oh, it hurts. It hurts. What's that? What's the concept of music, of making a nigun? Is I pick the good notes from the bad notes. Bad notes doesn't mean that they're bad. It means that they're wrong. They're not in place, right?
Not in harmony.
Right, they're not in harmony, right?
That's a nice terminology.
Right.
Which musical instruments do you play?
All kinds of string plucked instruments, mandolin, guitar, ukulele, all different kinds of. You're also a musician. Okay. Yeah.
If only I could be this type of musician, taking money to do.
Well, that's exactly what we do. You don't need to have a guitar to do this, gentlemen. What do? You find one good point, another good point, another good point, another good point. You put all of them in place, and now there's a beautiful harmony of the good places. And what happens to you when there's a beautiful nigun being played? Harmony. It feels good. You're good. You're going up, right? So that's what happens. You make this nigun of all these good points inside of you, and you're dafka consciously peeling away the bad points. The bad points keep on wanting to come in. Your finger wants to go to the wrong note, right? No, you force yourself to play the right note to get it perfect. A perfect, masterful musical composition here of all the good points of who you are, right?
May I say something? Like I just got a thought that we're supposed to have deal between Kodesh and Chol. It's also like by drawing this line, like putting things on the right place.
Beautiful.
So it also gives like a
absolutely.
harmony of life.
Absolutely. And this is also why. Remember, we said when you go to a tzaddik, and you don't even have to go to a tzaddik. When you go to someone who loves you or is looking at the good in you, it feels so good. When a person, especially if you're feeling bad about yourself, but not. You go. I don't have to tell you guys. You wake up and you see Rav Listman in the morning. He gives you a smile like you can't get anywhere else in the world. Trust me, I've been all over. You can't get anything like Rav Listman. You guys have been more than me, but it's gewaldig. It makes me feel so good. You see the good in me. So this one the Rabbi says. He says it separates a nigun separates the ruach tova, the good spirit, Meaning, there's something when you hit that right note. There's a spirit. There's a spirituality in that note. From the nuach, from literal translation is the ugly one, the ugly spirit, right? A spirit of cacophony. You guys know that word, cacophony. The opposite of harmony. It's like just
disillusionment,
chaos. It's not working together. It's not right. If I was once performing back in college with a good buddy of mine, and I was playing rhythm guitar and he was soloing and he was off all over the place. I couldn't believe it. And he was an amazing soloist. I couldn't believe it. And I'm looking at him, he's looking at me. We're looking at each other like, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? And I looked down and my hand was in the wrong place. I was on the wrong fret, right? He was doing fine. I was in the wrong place, right? But when two people are not synchronized, they're not harmonized, it hurts, right? So too, if one person is looking at the good and the other one's looking at the bad, right? And in ourselves, when we're looking in the bad, it's a ruach nechea. It brings an ugly type of feeling, an impure type of feeling of darkness. V'aklal, just do this last sentence, and then maybe we'll stop and see if the rabbi is here. V'aklal ki negina de kedusha hi gvoa meod ki yadua. Holy negina, holy music, is a very, very high thing, says the Rabbi. It's a very, very lofty thing. V'ikar nigun naaseh al yedei birur hatov mi'ara. And the major part of playing music, especially in a holy way, is separating the good from the bad, right? Shal yedei shemivarinu melaktin nekudot tovot mitoch hara al yedei ze naasi nigunin uzmirot. Ayin sham etev. And it's in another Torah, in Torah Nun Dalet, that the Rebbe really talks about that in the Kudam more in depth. But that's the principle, right? When we're stuck in this place of depression, or we see somebody else, right? How many times have each one of you? I'm sure you've had friends that have been just stuck in that place, and you want to bring them out. You don't know how to bring them out. You can't help. You feel like you can't help them, right? This is a way. It doesn't have to be frontal. It doesn't have to be interactive, so to speak. Think about the good. Focus on the good. They say about I think Rav Chatzkel Levenstein. I'm not sure. Maybe the Alter Mislabat. I don't know. One of the great Lithuanian rabbis of Musar, that he would sit in his living room in Poland, and he would sit by the window that faced the street. And he was kind of like a main thoroughfare, and whenever a person would walk by, he would just sit there and he would think good about them and wish them good and daven for them as they're walking by. Right? What a beautiful thing. Proactively, right? I saw just yesterday Maseches Kala, one of the Masechtot Ktanot. I'm going to stop here because if the rabbi's waiting outside, I don't want to keep him waiting. That it says a Talmud Chacham, how should he behave? He should be sweet with everybody. בדיוק אמרנו, הרב.
Open the windows and we'll make 5 minutes break and then we'll continue, okay?
Yes, this room's not big enough for 2 refs.
I just said Talmud Chacham and look who walked in. So just the last thing it says, the Talmud Chacham should be arev lekol adam. He should be sweet to every person that he meets. It gives a whole list over there of all the different kinds of things that he should be, how he should relate to everybody with sweetness, right? To see the sweetness in them. Okay, Be'ez Hashem. Next week we're going to finish this Torah and we're going to go on to more Torahs. Be'ez Hashem.
Thank you so much.
You really